Hello, everyone. I wanted to make a video today to talk about the idea of a geopolymer and this notion that archaeologists hide the truth about stone masonry, how ancient megaliths were constructed. There's a large contingent of people who believe that the stones on megalithic sites were poured or made with geopolymer, more or less concrete or quicklime. And I've studied stone masonry as part of my repertoire for ancient history research. And what I've come across is there is no obfuscation of how stone masonry was accomplished by the ancient peoples. I firmly believe that archaeologists and researchers, if they come across something in regard to how a structure was made, how the stones were made, they are 100% factual and scientifically based. I don't see anything that jumps out to me as a conspiracy to hide whether or not a stone was quarried or it was made by mud bricks. There are plenty of mud brick ancient structures, and the archaeologists will come right out and say, hey, this was made with mud bricks. One of the more intriguing um, sites in regard to stone masonry was the stone structures at Copán in Honduras. So I did an extensive article for my website on this location, and what they determined was that there was a plaster that was made that was put on top of the limestone. This plaster was a mix of tree bark and sap and other elements that created a shell much like natural shells over the limestone in order to preserve it from weathering. Limestone naturally erodes from rain. It's a relatively porous rock, and over a millennia of rainfall, it will begin to disintegrate unless it's protected. And the ancient Maya came up with this plaster, which is a science unto their own. And to their credit and to researchers and archaeologists' credit, they have deciphered how this plaster was made. And so if you go to ancienthistoryx.com and you check out ancient Mayan masonry science, I've done a full blown article as to how this was created, how it was applied, and what the properties were. Um, you know, I don't, my um, competitive side, gets really frustrated sometimes with the geopolymer crowd, and it is spilled out. But that's only because when you look at all the evidence, there's absolutely nothing that points to their assertions. You know, I think what they do is they take science such as this plaster, where tree bark was used, as I mentioned, and they determined that it was the entire stone block. And I think the Geopolymer Institute does that a lot with some of the information that they put forward. They don't tell you the entire truth. They take a bit of science like this plaster and they try to tell you that the entire stone block was made out of a geopolymer or a quote unquote concrete or quicklime. So I encourage my listeners and readers to read this article, Ancient Mayan Masonry Science. and you'll be blown away with the knowledge that they had. And I think that's more exciting than making up stories about geopolymers that maybe you could make today. Like, or not even maybe, you can make a lot of things today. We can make alloys, we can make plastics, and a lot of these guys, they'll do a science project and they'll make something with some ingredients that were around ostensibly forever, and they'll say, well, the ancients had these ingredients, so this is how they did it. That just doesn't work. That's not how things work. Just because we can make something today with ingredients that have been around forever doesn't mean that's how the ancients did it. That's misappropriating data and information is to sell some kind of slick narrative. And quite frankly, it's been something that's frustrated me for a long time. Um, I don't think that because today we can make an alloy, we can turn around and say that, oh, this was an alloy, or because we can make a concrete, we can say, oh, this was a concrete. Most of the major megalithic stone structures, if not all, were quarried. And in the places where structures were made with mud bricks like ziggurats and some of the Andean, what they call pyramids, which are just really platforms, a series of platforms, were also made with mud bricks. In this case, in Copán, they had stela, which was made from limestone, but because of the environment, they knew that it would erode with rainfall. So they used their own technical prowess to create a plaster to cover over the limestone and protect it, just like a hard shell or a natural shell. So, if you want to learn more about ancient Mayan science, check out ancienthistoryx.com and Ancient Mayan Masonry Science. Thank you.